Hey everyone. As always, we're going to run through the top moving stocks of the day, or the ones that are most interesting to the group, and the ones that I think make the most sense out of what was picked. A lot of moving parts today are going on, and we're gonna address them all. I'm going to try and talk about some process here. If you saw from the newsletter the other day, the seed really bothered me, where some people got stopped out already and aren't back into it. And I just want to speak on process on that a little bit today. So this might go a little longer, but I'm going to try and get it through on the 15 minutes, and we'll see how that goes. We know how I tend not to do that, but let's go from there, and let's just start. As always, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications, because this information is timely. And let's just get into it. So I'm just going to start here with the Qs, just so we're all we're on the same page here. We talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to throw in these indicators here. But we talked about this in the newsletter, right? So all we did was really come down to support 1, 2, 3 days down. Here's our upper channel. This is all healthy action. So now we're fighting the 5 and the 8, and we might pin today, and we might have seen the big moves for the day, just because what happens on option expiration is people get pinned. They try and sell options to lower their cost basis, and people are a little bit underwater right now from what they bought. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, where Monday we ran right into it. But knowing where these lines are allow us to trade predicated upon these lines. So we know when we're up here, we want to be lightening up, and when we come down here, we want to be buying. That's why we started adding buys to the new list, the newsletter list. So just keep that in mind and start trying to think like that. I don't want to buy when I'm running up like this. I want to buy when this happens, and then this little wedge breaks, and I buy here and get this, because then I'm in case we break this and go higher. In this case, it didn't, but you get the idea. So let's get into this. Apple, you are right below the 50. I can tell you, every time we are below the 50-day, we do not stay here. So, and you can see 1, 2, 3. So I'm not going to put this in the newsletter just because it's Apple, and I'm not adding a tremendous amount of value by saying buy Apple. But let's just look at what's going on here, right? You have this wedge that's forming beautifully. And you can see where the 5, the 8, 21 are rolling, and this is rolling. And every single time that's happened, what has that been? It's been a buying opportunity, right? And then you have this line right here. So you have that underlying trend line, and this one will probably be even better just by looking at it. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? So, it's a very interesting point to buy here. And then you flipped today, taking in that higher high. So that's why I was saying you could look at buying this, with this being your stop. Your stop would be the lower end of this, and you probably don't break that. But if you do, just blow it out. It's, I think it's let's see, what is it? I mean, it's 127. It's $2. $2, and realistically, if you head back to this level, 145. That's not a bad risk versus reward. So BFLY was one I threw out the other day. Really want to get people to focus on this, and as much as you can. So you see these top channels? When you break these top channels, they become your support, just like support and resistance lines do, right? So you could see this, and if you even clone this, because you clone them so you get the same trajectory, right? So this is really your support level here. I mean, you could try and use this, and you can see that coming through, but this is really your channel, right? So when you look at this channel, you can see how once we broke above it, we just went. So now we've opened on the day, we're down here, but we haven't even come near this line. So if I was in this off of that rip, I have no interest in closing this. What would concern me is a close below and back into the channel. I don't want to be around for that. So from wherever you're in, if you're in where we talked about buying, just stay in the trade, and if worst case, it's break even and go from there. But the open being the high, and then here the rejection, I get it, but I don't see any reason to do anything with it at this point. And I like the trade. I think this one could move, and you could see the volume coming in. So BNGO, We have this in the newsletter, and hold on one second, squeeze this down a little bit. So we have this in the newsletter, and we popped back in the channel. I think that was Tuesday, and we really thought that this was our week. We were going to run. We were going to appear to 20. Well, man plans, God laughs, right? So that doesn't happen. And here we go. And then we break down. And we open, if you really drill down into this, and we keep this line here, what you'll see is the high of this line, right? The high of this line was pretty much the high of that. I mean, that was a clear rejection when that happened. So if you were looking to get out, you could have used this. As I said, these are support and resistance lines. You could have used that there. But what's really interesting is, here we go. We tested down here. I made it very clear that, I'm not getting out of this in the newsletter yesterday. And then here we go. And now we have a higher high. And right now I gave a couple key levels on Twitter. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you might want to, just because of the more instantaneous information that comes out, and there's a link in the description. But so I just called out this 1440 level. Now you had a high tight flag here that we broke, and all we've done is come back down and fill, and now we're filling a wedge underneath of it. I mean, this is 40 cents I'm talking about. This is not the end of the world. I see much larger stuff going on here that's very interesting at this point that could really propel this stock higher. So I'm long. I haven't done anything with it. I think this could continue to move. I think this could be an enormous winner. I don't want to get into the what do you call it? The fundamentals and all that. Just clear this out. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you look at this hourly, and you can see what's going on here, right? And you can see that wedge. So if you break this wedge line, you're probably going to pop up, and then you're going to retest this. Maybe that's today. I doubt it with the volume that I'm seeing. Most likely to, next week. So let's just keep going. This is one that we just put in the newsletter. Let's get into this on the daily. So we just put this in the newsletter, and I just want to go through this again so we're all on the same page. These channels, when they don't break these channels, these are guides, right? Where to buy, where to sell. These are guides. Needs to flip the channel. Here's your channel. Did we flip? No, we opened and went right to the high. So if you were looking to get out of this and you're like, well, I just want to take my 2 points and go home, everybody trades differently, and you need to develop a process that's right for you. Not everybody is willing to lose $1 when they're up to. And that's fine. You just have to establish what your process is, not what mine is. You can use mine and then make your own, but everyone handles risk differently. I have a friend that has massive, massive swings, 7-8 figure swings, and I would never take those kinds of swings. It doesn't bother him. So it just depends on your risk aversion. But what you're seeing here is you're running right to the top of this channel, and then what happens? Right? It bounces off, and you're still around this open close level. So I'm not doing anything because I don't want to try and buy it back and get cute. I'm in, I'm going to leave it alone, and I'm going to see what happens. But if you bump into this channel and you fail these channels, it's a clear indication that you might want to trim if that's a concern of yours. This one I really haven't been watching, and it's just been an absolute monster. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. So, but I mean, you can see that pretty clearly here. You have this really, really nice channel on this. Well, let's come on. There we go. So, right? So look at this. And we're having trouble with it today, but we have this higher high, and this channel's been just going up. So realistically, the next day, maybe we'll pop over this, but if you look at it, we've been respecting it for over 6 months, and I could probably actually draw it back even to here and say that we've been in this channel for over, I could probably draw it back down to here and say we've been in this channel for over, close to a year. So do we close over that? I don't know. This is a tough spot to buy it. If I was long here and I was long from this 200 level and I'm up here, I'm up 50% in, 30 days, I would definitely consider selling some. I don't need to be here and see if it flips. I can always buy it back. But that's how I look at this one. I mean, just a monster move. Congratulations to the people that are in this one. I mean, it's tenfold in a year. But this is not something that I would buy until this resolves. Let's see here. So this is an entertainment group, right? I believe this is an ETF. I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it is. So you have a little flag going here, right? But look. See that? And then you can go here. So you can see this little flag, and we're stuck in here, and we're bouncing around. The 8's going to cross over the 5. I don't know. You have to see what happens here. This is not something that you can make a real split decision on right now. I like how you have this convergence right here at that point. If I was to go long it, it's going to break 1776, that 18 level, and then push, and then your first stop that you could probably see would be this 20 3/4, and let's just drill down into this just a little bit more, because this is kind of interesting, isn't it? So then, you're really looking at, if you break that level, you're probably looking at 23, 24 bucks, but you have to clear 18, and if you break this 1532 level, you'd be below the 5 and the 8, and I'd be out of it. So there's a gentleman that contacted me on this one that apparently has options. Look, something like this, you need to be really careful when you own options on. Options, you need to move, and they need to move now. And if you don't really understand time decay, implied volatility, especially implied volatility, because I can just tell you, if you bought these back here, the implied vol was through the roof, and now it's just collapsing. And that's really what's happening to you. So you're getting tighter and tighter on this one, and you can see that, right? So this is not something that I would have a position in right now. And now I'm in this gap. So, and the 5, the 8, the 21, we're all rolling. And your time decay is just going on. If I was underwater in these and I had this option position, I would probably, sell calls to get the premium against it just to lessen my cost basis. But I would not be a buyer of the stock. And therefore, if I'm not a buyer, I would want to be out of it. And you also have this going on here too, which is really ugly. So I have a rising wedge, and as I always say, rising wedges are bearish. Even though people think that they're bullish, they're not. So, and now I'm below that. So, I mean, this is a clear sign that we could be heading to, this 1250 level. So just keep that in mind. I definitely wouldn't be adding to that. So MVIS, we've broken out, and look at how we're doing today. We just bounced right off the 8, opened, dragged me down to the 8, which was a great spot. And now where are we? We're right up here. Second highest close. This is acting really well. And we're forming a nice little pattern here. And it's getting tighter and tighter. Inside day, inside, I like this. I'd keep that on your radar. NIO, we did okay with this one. We sold some at 63 from 48, made 24%. 57 looks like was our stop. We made 20% on the trade. It was just disappointing. I really thought that this one was going to go, but that's the game. And you should be able to see this channel that's right here, right? No, that's not really. Hold on, that's pretty ugly. So you can see this channel right here. And now we kind of got close to it, but didn't really touch it. And now we're trying to get above this, and we can't. But we're above the 50. This could boomerang, and we look at those trades and go higher. I did try to play this today and bought a little bit of it, and then it just reversed on me, and I just got out of the way. I just didn't like the action. That's got to resolve itself. So I don't know why I have NNDM written 3 times on here, but that's not good. And as always, these videos are going to just be unedited and raw just for time purposes. And if you do like the video, please do me a favor and just click like, solely because I want to just do this to educate more and more people on what it truly takes to be successful at trading. And I think the more likes that the videos get, the more press, I guess is the right way to say it, from YouTube. So look at what's going on here, right? And we went to the 1786 level. These lines have been here for weeks. We went right here, boom, failed, held 1550, broke. I'm not crazy about the 5, the 8, and the 21 crossing to the downside. This support line is probably on a weekly just by looking at how far back it goes. So let's drill down into that real quick. Yep. And here we are. This 1380 is huge. We need to hold this 1380 level. And look at us with this 200 week. And we can't get above that, can we? So we really need to get above this. Now, they constantly are raising money. I mean, it's actually an inside running joke at how many times these people raise money. And let's get rid of this line, and let's get rid of this line. So you can see you can see it, but now you have a little wedge. We didn't break the lower low, but these rolling, this has got to get its legs underneath of us. They could buy somebody, and which is what they just did to raise money, and then all of a sudden, the stock could open here. This needs to resolve itself, and we need to see what they do with their funds before I would add to it. And I wouldn't sell it unless it breaks 1380. So this one, I called out last night when we found out that ARC added to it, and this is really interesting because we talk about this in one of the videos. This was a perfect gap fill for people that wanted to play this, right? So a gap fill is just when you're off the open. You open up and then you just come back to the absolute high and you fill the gap in, and then you push higher. And that's really what happened here. Now, we called this all day today on Twitter as far as levels, and you can just see what's going on here. Well, this might be a little too busy, too much going on here. Let's just do the hourly. So you can see after hours, this is where we were. This was the one trend line that we broke after hours. I actually bought it last night after hours. I think I put that on Twitter. And then we just gap open on the hourly and run. But, you wouldn't see this on the hourly that, you're gap filling, right? You would only see that on a longer time chart. And that's why you have to look at these charts on different time frames. So then we broke this little channel right here, this little downtrend, and it looked like we were going to go, and we rejected at 29.76 when 3 million shares crossed. And now we're back in this channel. So that might be it for today. We just have to watch this. But I do like this breakout, and there are a lot of people that want to buy this. So we just have to watch and see. Right now, I do not think that this is the best spot to add it because you're going to have pressure. And not everybody sold their position that's in that lockup expiration. But, this is simple. Just watch, see what happens. And, if it breaks 26.35, you probably want to be out of it. We did the Qs. Let's do QS. This is interesting. This is a nice little reversal. We're staying above the 50. We're staying above that 61 level, and we're building a little flag. We tried to break out. We failed. Open and close are above yesterday's open and close, aren't we? And now we're above the 50. So even though we have a red bar, we're making progress, right? And look at the progress that we're making. We say, well, how are we making progress? Well, now the open and close are above the 50-day. When was the last time that happened? Not till back here, but now it's happening. So keep this on your radar. Is this something I'm going to buy right here? No. But this could set up, could give me a high tight flag right above this and use this support line as the bottom. And this is the top, and then break out and go. And there's a lot of upside if this moves. You broke this downward trend line right here, and we've held that. So that gives me confidence that this might go. SE, I mean, this stock's just been a monster. It's like that FVRR. But you're at the top of this channel, and it respects this channel, right? And you can see that. So I don't know. I would watch it here. This is not really when you buy the stock. You buy the stock when it gets to the 50-day. You can see how many times it respects it. So I would wait for this to pull back, retest a support level before adding. If I was long it, I would just stay long. But I don't see anything really actionable here. So seed was one we added yesterday or the day before. These days are starting to blend together. So, you can see how we did the gap fill again and came right to the close. And then we ran up. And now we're just sitting there. Light volume. But what's interesting about this is, I really like this breakout. And, let's just go through a couple things on it. So we're on the same page. I just drew that and look at the low of the day. I mean, this is clearly moving higher. But what really bothered me was people bought this and they got stopped out at the low of the day and then didn't get back in. It's fine to get stopped out. It's fine not to get back in. But here's the thing. Let's get rid of these indicators real quick, and we're looking at seed. But let's get into this trade, okay? At any time when you broke this and you filled the gap, all you did was gap fill. And maybe I need to start explaining more on charts and start getting people to understand things a little bit better, you know. But when you gap fill, like you do here, right? It's telling you clearly all we're doing is backfilling. So here we are, and now it's our turn, right? And we see this, and then what happens? Boom. Okay, and then we break out, and then what do? We gap fill, which is what happened right here. We don't even close one 15-minute bar below this. So here's the very first thing. When I say like stop low of the day, the very first thing I'm going to look at is to see if we even close below the open or close of these 15-minute bars. If the answer is no, I personally am not moving, but that's up to you. So that doesn't happen, but now we gap fill. But more importantly, when we do this and we run and it breaks down, we're going to have to start going over patterns a little bit more on what to buy, what not to buy. But we sell down, two, we rally, we retest that low, and we can't even get there, right? Then we pop over here. I mean, this was a clear signal to buy right here. Okay, so, and then we push, right? So, and you can see these signals all the time, right? Here's another one. So here's another one. So, you know, when you're not back in them, I mean, that's up to everybody how they trade. What I'm simply saying is just because you get stopped out once doesn't mean you can't get back in. But you do not want to be buying today. You want to be buying when the pattern's there. You don't want to chase. When someone wants to send me a text or an email or a comment, should I chase it here? You don't need to send that. The answer is always no. There's always another stock. So Snap, I like this. I mean, you have a high tight flag here. See that? And we're trying to break it. It looks great. And you're in the channel. And this is without anything else on, without the indicators, but throw the indicators on. But look, I mean, why do anything? Just stay with it. It looks great. Just, you know, it's probably going to bump up against here as it constantly does and then go from there. SPY, we're not going to do. Tiger, look, I called this out today. It was pretty clear. When you get to this top channel again, and these channels are drawn bad, but I'm going to leave them because of time. You know, this is where I was saying you got to sell. Like if you want to trim, this is where you trim. And how do you know that? Well, you look at the patterns that are going on, right? Patterns are human behavior. That's all they are, okay? That's why I always like patterns, because human behavior doesn't change, okay? Like here's where you're on the low of this bar right now, and here's where you are on the high of this, okay? But you have this channel right here, and we were looking for like $39. Well, we got the $38.50, and bonk, bonk, and then we have this lower undercut on the 15. Okay, it's a clear rejection. So at this point, I know that if I want to trim, this is where I have to get out, right? And then we break down, and then we test this 36.40. Now, does that mean that it's not going to break through today? No, but it means that it might roll back down. And do I really want to go for that ride down through this 232? And the answer is no. So you need to have your process set up before you even do the trade, as I stated in the newsletter yesterday. And in regards to Tesla, this is kind of interesting. We're right against the 50-day, and we do respect it. So, and there's a little wedge here, and we're breaking that wedge. So keep this on your radar. This can easily test 884.49 again. TSNP, I got asked to show you this one. I have a wedge here. I mean, this is a really thin stock. This is not something that I play with. But, you could move here. And I would look for a higher high above this and above this 123 level and then go from there. And then finally, last but not least, is Twitter. And look, Twitter went right to the absolute all-time high and rejected twice now. So you have a double top on Twitter. And we can talk about this because I know people look at these double tops and you're stuck in between these two. And I know people that look at double tops and say that's not really a double top because we didn't break below this yet. I'm not waiting. Right now, I failed, and now you have to confirm to me. You have to show me that you're not going to fail. That's how I look at it. I don't care if that's the technical way to look at it or not. It works for me. So I broke out of this little wedge, I ran to here, and I have failed. So right now, until this resolves itself between the 70 and 74, there's nothing to do here. That's it. As always, feel free to send me a message or a comment, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, see ya.